The language of Qur'an, easier than English, lesson number 9, part 2. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to lesson number 9, part 2. Alhamdulillah, so far in lesson number 8 and 9, we introduced ourselves to the huruf of jar, and Alhamdulillah, we had a very detailed look. We split them into two groups. The first group being the single letter, 5 of them, ba, ta, kaf, lam, wa. Please refer back to lesson number 8, where these were covered in detail, and all that you need to know about them, inshallah, have been given to you as far as your Quranic Arabic study is concerned. In lesson number 9, which was the previous video, we looked at the remaining 6. That is min, fi, an, ala, hatta, ila. Please note there are 17 huruf of jar in Arabic. 11 of them are used in the Quran almost 13,000 times. As you know already, I have shared this information with you many times, that in the Quran, the standard mushaf, the print, standard one has 15 lines per page, almost 600 pages. 600 times 15 will give you 9,000 lines. That means you will see at least one, if not two on the average, in every line of Quran. So it's a very, very important topic. As I said right from the beginning, inshallah ta'ala, by the end of lesson number 9, you and I should be able to recognize something in every line of Quran. So a huge achievement if you've been following the lessons consistently and doing the exercises that I've asked you to do. So again, do not lose hope, inshallah. Keep on practicing, keep on learning. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has made it easy for us to learn Arabic, to understand Quran. So let us begin now in the part 2 of lesson 9. First of all, by starting in the blessed name of Allah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and making the dua, Rabbi zidni ilma, O my Lord, increase me in knowledge. Alhamdulillah, when we began our journey, we looked at the subject of i'rab. As you remember, I said every ism has 4 properties. The most unique one as far as English-speaking students are concerned is i'rab, and we're going to look at it in detail because that is a secret to learning, especially learning and understanding Quran, especially when it comes to the ism. Now, we know so far about it, alhamdulillah, that there are only 3. Either it will be rafa, nasab, or jar. Either marfu, mansub, or majroor. Only 3. And now we know, after lesson number 9, one of the reasons why an ism, or one of the reasons why an ism will be jar, and that is if it comes after a harf of jar. Remember, there are only 2 grammatical reasons. 2 grammatical reasons, the role that it plays when it will become majroor or in jar. One is when it comes after a harf of jar, and we have looked at that in detail. And inshallah, lesson number 9 and 10, we're going to look at when it is mudaf ilayhi. What do we mean by mudaf ilayhi? So this is what we're going to look at in lesson number 10, which is coming inshallah ta'ala after this lesson. The other rafa, we've already familiar with subject, predicate, and the doer of the verb. An object so far, mansub, is only one we know. There are others. Of course, we will learn them as we progress. So please keep this sheet in mind. It's been shared with you before. This has a summary as we're progressing the subject of i'rab. And again, as a summary, please note there are only 2 reasons why an ism will be majroor. 1, when it comes after a harf of jar, and number 2, when it's mudaf ilayhi. So here are the 17 huruf of jar, and of course we are only looking at the ones that are used in the Quran, but please note they all behave grammatically exactly the same. Some of them are very rarely used, you will not come across. Others you will come in hadith and other Arabic literature that you study. So if you learn even one of them, everything else will be exactly the same. So don't be worried that you haven't learned all of them. There's absolutely no need. If you learn 1 or 2 of them, it's more than enough. But I've given you every single one of them that occur in the Quran. So we covered them in lesson number 8. And of course, we're covering them in lesson number 9. And these are the 6. Please memorize them. Ba, ta, kaf, lam, wa. That's your 5 single letter ones. Min, fi, an, ala, hatta, ila. If you repeat it a couple of times, if you write it down a couple of times, you'll remember them for the rest of your life. And in every line of Quran, all you need to do is look out for these. And of course, the difference you'll see, sometimes they're connected to a pronoun, sometimes they're connected to an ism, and this is what you need to recognize. Otherwise, it is relatively easy, inshallah, to recognize almost 13,000 words of Al-Quran. As I mentioned to you many times before, the secret to learning Arabic, it is not really learning endless list of words. Alhamdulillah, Quran has 78,000 words, out of which many of them are repeated. If you just learn 125 of them, those are repeated almost 53,000 times in the Quran. 50,000 times in the Quran. That's more than 50% of the words of Al-Quran. Here I've given you a list which I've called my priceless gems. And here, of course, you have category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are verbs which we'll pick up in book number 2. But here, if you look at list number, the list number we have here, which are the huruf of jar listed in number 6, you will see these are the ones almost 13,000 times in the Quran. So it is not the vocabulary that is stopping us understanding the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy. All we need is to learn the basic rules of how these vocabulary are used. Otherwise, learning words and their meaning, if we don't know how they're put together, we'll not be able to understand them in context. So in summary, Quran has 114 surahs, it has 6,236 ayat, 600 pages, 15 lines per page, almost 9,000 lines in the standard Mus'haf, the one used by the Huffaz. And of course, we have 9 words per line on the average. On the average, we get about 78,000 words in Al-Quran. 78,000 words. So 120 of them are repeated in the Quran 39,160 times. That's your 50% of the words of Al-Quran just from 120 words. So words are not your challenge. In this book, I cover 439, which are, of course, used in the Quran 44,603 times, and that is almost 57% of the words of Al-Quran. So I repeat to you, it is not your challenge to buy lots of books with lots of words in it. What your challenge is to learn the basic grammar rules on how these words are put together. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has made it easy. All we need is to put the efforts in to be able to learn the basic rules of the Arabic language. And again, another very important learning tip, how am I going to remember ba, ta, kaf, lam, wa, and what they mean, especially when wa is used so many different ways in Arabic. So here is your tip. I've gone through this again. I'm not going to read the whole list, but please make a note of these. So ba, a'udhu billahi, I seek refuge in Allah or with Allah. Tallahi, by Allah. Okay, ka'asfim ma'kulin, like chewed up straw. So the ka is like, and of course, alhamdulillah. Okay, all praise and thanks are for Allah, and wal asri, by the fleeting time or by time. So you can see here ba, ta, kaf, lam, wa. If you write them down once along with these examples, you'll retain them longer. So try not to learn words on their own in isolation by completely repeating them again and again. Put them in context of some ayah or some words or some phrases that you already know, and that will help. If you do not know the phrase, of course, you memorize it, and that's the way to remember vocabulary, the easiest way, inshallah ta'ala. And then, of course, we have min, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You have again the min there. Fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. Radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him. Assalamu alaykum, peace be upon you. Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Hatta here means until. And fafirru ilallah, flee to Allah. So flee to Allah. So you can see here, alhamdulillah, they're not that difficult to memorize permanently. All I ask you to do is please note the number of times they're used in the Quran, and you will be able to see the importance and the significance they play in the language. The other important thing to note about the huruf of jar, I've already gone through in detail, is that number of them attached to pronouns or attached to pronouns. Some of them don't. I've gone through all of them with you that do, and I've also shared the table with you. Here I'm going to give you a summary so you can start practicing, inshallah ta'ala. Again, please note bi, billahi as an example. It can attach to an ism or it can come next to an ism, and we end up with a'udhu billahi, which is made out of 2 words, and of course it becomes written like so, as you can see, and that is your Murakkab Jarii, jarun wa majrurun coming together. Then we also have be when it attaches to a pronoun. Please note huwa. It cannot be huwa because the be will force the ism after to be jar. Huwa is not jar. It can only be rafa or marfu'. So what do we do here? We use the attached pronouns. So we have bihi, bihi. So that's your harf of jar, and that is your ism majroor. Remember, pronouns are a category of ism in Arabic. And this is the way you will avoid confusion, inshallah ta'ala, if you learn in this structured way. So bihi is a Murakkab Jarii, just like billahi is a Murakkab Jarii. The difference with bihi is that the he bit is a pronoun. So remember, they go to isms and they also go to pronouns. Now let's look at the chart, and please memorize this chart. I cannot emphasize the importance of it. So let's do it one more time, inshallah, for practice. Bihi, bihima, bihim. Biha, bihima, bihinna. Bika, bikuma, bikum. Biki, bikuma, bikunna. Bi, bina. Exactly as we practiced. I've gone through this again in detail in lesson number 8. Here is only as a reminder, a summary for you to practice, inshallah ta'ala, and memorize. Please make sure you are able to read these charts from memory and you're able to write them from memory. Okay, this will be one of the biggest investment you'll make in your Arabic study, along with the Muslim table that I asked you to learn in lesson number 4. So very, very important lessons, inshallah. Please do the same with all the other tables that I'm sharing with you. Now we have la or li. Remember, la when it is attached to a pronoun. Li when it is attached to a standard ism. For example, alhamdu lillahi. Whereas when it attached to a pronoun, it becomes lihu, is lahu. So let's practice these, inshallah ta'ala. Lahu, lahuma, lahum. Laha, lahuma, lahunna. Laka, lakuma, lakum. Laki, lakuma, lakunna. Li, lana, li, lana. Please note with the ya mutakallim, which is the first person here, for me or my, it is li, because that ya always prefers a kasra before. Otherwise, the rest are la. Memorize this chart, inshallah, 2,541 times in the Qur'an. Next, we have min, one of the most commonly used words of Al-Qur'an. So let's quickly practice with pronouns. Minhu, minhuma, minhum. Minha, minhuma, minhunna. Minka, minkuma, minkum. Minki, minkuma, minkunna. Minni, minna. Minni, minna. Again, please make a note of these. They have been shared with you in the lesson. Alhamdulillah. Memorize this chart also. Next, we have fi. Fi, basic meaning in, at, etc. Let's quickly go through them, inshallah. Fihi, fihima, fihim. Fiha, fihima, fihinna. Fika, fikuma, fikum. Fiki, fikuma, fikunna. Fiya, fina. Fiya, fina. Again, please note, we've been through this a couple of times, inshallah ta'ala. Why is fiya? Because there's a ya at the end of fi, and of course the ya of the first person. So this is the change that you will note here. Again, go back to the lesson 4, full review. Please master this table. Next, we have an with pronouns. Anhu, anhuma, anhum. Anha, anhuma, anhunna. Anka, ankuma, ankum. Anki, ankuma, ankunna. Anni, anna. Remember this one? Radiyallahu anhu for one companion. Anhuma, anhum, and anha for a female companion. Alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala, from today we will not make mistakes when using the title after a single companion, two companion, three or more, masculine or female. Alhamdulillah, you will be able to get this right. Ala is used 1445 times in the Qur'an, significant number of times with the attached pronouns. Alayhi, alayhima, alayhim. Alayha, alayhima, alayhinna. Alayka, alaykuma, alaykum. Alayki, alaykuma, alaykunna. Alayya, alayna. Alayya, alayna. Very important chart. Of course, the easy way to remember it. Assalamu alaykum. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. So you can see here, alaykum. A quick learning tip, inshallah. Ila, meaning to, towards, till, etc. 742 times in the Qur'an. Let's quickly practice. Ilayhi, ilayhima, ilayhim. Ilayha, ilayhima, ilayhinna. Ilayka, ilaykuma, ilaykum. Ilayki, ilaykuma, ilaykunna. Ilayya, ilayna. Alhamdulillah. These are the huruf of jar with the attached pronouns. The ones I have not listed in this session do not attach to pronouns. This is these charts you must master, be able to read them from memory, be able to recognize them instantly, and reproduce them on a blank sheet of paper from memory. Once you've done that, alhamdulillah, you have made a huge leap in your learning of Arabic. Inshallah, I'll prove that to you as when we start looking at ayat of Quran. But you don't need you don't need to wait for me. Please open up any page of the Quran, look at any line and see how many attached pronouns you can recognize. And you will see, inshallah, around 9,000 times attached pronouns. Of course, they're attached to Harf Jarr. They're attached to other things also. This is now the start level of a study of a very important component of Arabic, which are the attached pronouns. Murakkab Jarii in sentences. Now we're going to learn how they are used in sentences. Of course, this is very basic level. Murakkab Jarii will play a very important role when we go to the intermediate and advanced level. You will see they are very powerful. The Huruf of Jar can actually alter the meaning of a verb, and they play a very important linking role in almost all the sentences in which they are used. So very important. They are used in Jumlah Ismiya. They're also used in Jumlah Fi'liya. So again, this is only an introductory session, but please note the following points. And of course, with examples, you will learn their uses, inshallah. This sentence you should be able to translate, and I hope and pray you can make sense of it already. So we have now salamtu. Salamtu means I gave salam. Okay, ala shaykhi, upon the sheikh or to the sheikh. Here, of course, we have our salamtu, which is a combination of a verb and the doer. So the verb is there, fi'lun, and the doer is ana. So this two represents I. Inshallah, we'll learn that in book 2, but for now, just make a note. Salamtu, I gave salam, or I greeted. And then what do we have after that? Ala shaykhi. Now, this is actually a special term in Arabic for this part of grammar. It is called muta'alliq, something that connects. But we'll leave that for later, inshallah. We have a jar, majroor, being used in a Jumlah Fi'liya. Why Jumlah Fi'liya? Because it is beginning with a verb. And again, it's playing a very important role in this sentence. So Murakkab Jarii, you'll see, very commonly used with verbal sentence or with verbs. So I gave salam to the sheikh. So again, here is another example of a same structure. As you can see, Sallaytu, I prayed. The tu means I. Sallaytu, I prayed. Fil bayti, in the house. I prayed in the house. I prayed in the house. Exactly another example of Murakkab Jarii being used with a verbal sentence. On the screen, we have 3 nominal sentences, Jumlah Ismiya. The first one, Zaidun fil masjidi. I think you can work that one out. So Zaidun is going to be Zaid is in the mosque. Zaid is in the mosque. Number 2, Assalamu alaikum. Again, you know the meaning of that. I don't need to go through again. Assalamu alaikum. And then we said huwa minhum. Huwa minhum. Translation, he is from them. Minhum. From them. So what is going on here? You can see exactly the same structure. Zaidun is my subject, and then jar majroor fil masjidi is going to come together. This is going to be Zaidun al Mubtada, and fil masjidi is going to be my Khabar. Khabar. Shibu Jumla for Khabar. Don't worry about the terminology for now. So we have now Mubtada and our Khabar, subject and our predicate. So here the jar majroor, Murakkab Jarii, is coming as a predicate of our sentence. In the second example is exactly the same. We have Assalamu, which is our Mubtada, Alaykum, jar majroor, is our Khabar. So we have combined together, we have our Jumla Ismiya. Huwa minhum. Huwa is our Mubtada. I think you can work that out. And minhum is our jar majroor, and Murakkab Jarii, which acts like in the place of Khabar, and we end up with another nominal sentences. So in nominal sentences, the jar majroor can act as be in the place of Khabar. It has a technical name called Shibu Jumla, and it is connected to a hidden Khabar, they call it. But again, we'll deal with that in advanced lessons. So this is how they're used, and you'll see them many times being used in nominal sentences. Take a few examples here now, inshallah, of sentences. Maryamu, Maryam. Mim, or Mim if you read it together, Mim Misra, is from Egypt. Dhalika minhum. That is from them. Huwa min Allah, it is from Allah. So you can see here 3 more examples of exactly the same principle. Of course, we can use the other huruf of jar also. هذا للطالب, this is for the student. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Now we know the meaning of that. All praises and thanks are due to Allah, belongs to Allah, etc. Al-qalamu ala al-maktabi, the pen is on the table. And then we have al-imamu fil masjidi, the imam is in the mosque. So you can see here different examples of Mubtada and Khabar, where the Khabar is, the slot of the Khabar is covered by a Harf Jarr and an Ism Majroor. Some quick examples from the Quran to show you what you're learning is relevant and is important. First of all, let's quickly look at the first part. Inshallah, I hope this is not proving of any challenge to you to note that this is your Harf Jarr, and this is, of course, is in jar status because the min is forcing that to be in jar. Please note al-harami is the copy of the 4 properties of al-masjidi. Why? Because the sifa, the adjective, will copy the 4 properties of the mawsuf. We've been through this many times. I hope this is just a revision. So min al-masjid al-haram, the first part is harf of jar, and this is your majroor. Okay, ism majroor. Sorry, it's difficult to write here. Ism majroor, they combine together, make your Murakkab Jarii. Again, you can see here, min al masjid al harami, towards or from the holy mosque or secured mosque. And then what? Sacred mosque. To ilal masjid al aqsa. Okay, aqsa also means the furthest mosque. So ilal masjid al aqsa, to the al aqsa mosque. And you can see here, aqsa is not changing at the end. Why? Because of the alif maksura at the end. Revision of everything you've done so far. I hope so, inshallah, very clear. In example number 1, we have 2 Murakkab Jarii, and of course the harf of jar impacts the ism majroor. Ism majroor is your mawsuf, and the sifa follows the 4 properties in both cases. So again, we have another harf of jar here, and this is your noun being described in 2 lines underneath, and this is the description. So very easy, inshallah. Ila siratim mustaqimin. Again, exactly the same principle. Ila is your harf of jar. To the straight path or to a straight path. Anil fahsha'i wal munkari. The waw is the addition, joining the 2 parts together. So again, and forbids all that which is shameful and evil. I hope you can now see the use of huruf of jar, inshallah ta'ala, and how it's impacting. So this part, apart from the vocabulary, should not cause you a major concern. One very important point about the huruf of jar. Please note, when they come with an ism majroor, they make, of course, a component of a sentence, but they can never be mubtada. Please note, they can be in the place of khabar, but they never be mubtada. So in this case, we have al-imamu fil masjidi. We have had this sentence before. The imam is in the mosque. This is fine. This is our standard sentence where the subject is definite, and of course we have the khabar fil masjidi. So we have our mubtada, which is definite, as you can see in rafa, and fil masjidi as our jar and majroor coming together, making our khabar. Simple. However, please note, if the subject is indefinite, I repeat, if the subject is indefinite, i.e. not definite, as we have in this case al-imamu, then something amazing happens in Arabic, or something different happens in Arabic. What happens? I want to say an imam is in the mosque. I don't say the imam, I want to say an imam, meaning the mosque has 4 or 5 imams. One of them is in the mosque. An imam is in the mosque. How do I translate that into Arabic? I have to put the word imam at the end. So please note, if the mubtada is indefinite, which you can tell from the English translation, that the subject is an imam. Okay? The subject is an imam, not the imam. In this case, the subject will go at the end. Please note that. This is something new we haven't learned before. So we have fil masjidi imamun. There is an imam in the mosque, or an imam is in the mosque. So we have jar majroor coming together at the beginning of the sentence, and it is called Khabar Muqaddam. Khabar coming first, and imamun will be our mubtada muakhar, mubtada coming delayed. It's a bit technical. Some people get a lot of confusion over it. Just always remember this very important point. If the subject is indefinite, and we can have indefinite subjects, I did hint to you at the beginning, then this is one of the cases where the subject will come after the harf of jar and ism majroor. Harf of jar and ism majroor, the subject will come after, and in English you can translate it as an imam is in the mosque, or there is an imam in the mosque, whichever way it suits in the context. So please note, if you see a harf of jar and ism majroor at the beginning of the sentence, it cannot be mubtada. It can be something else, but it can never be mubtada. Okay, harf of jar and ism majroor can never be mubtada, even if a sentence begins with it. So after that, you look out for an indefinite ism. Then of course this is the structure. There are other structures, we'll pick them up later. This is a bit confusing. A lot of people get confused on this one, but please note it down for now. I repeat, for just simplicity, inshallah, normal for sentence structure is mubtada first, khabar after. Mubtada normally definite, and of course has to be rafa. If the mubtada for some reason is indefinite, it will still be rafa, but it will come at the end, and in the beginning will be your jar majroor. So again, if the predicate is jar majroor, the subject is an indefinite ism, it will come after the jar majroor. And this is the wording changes around, but in English, of course, you translate according to the rules of the English language. Don't worry about the terminology I've given you at this stage. You don't need to memorize them. Just have this idea that this is how they work in Jumlah Ismiya. So some examples from the Qur'an. In them, two, meaning in these two, are fruits. Now, fruits are any fruits, not specific fruits. So again, you can see here, fihima, in them too. Remember, fihima, in them too. Fakihatun. Fakihatun is indefinite. It's coming after. I hope this is making sense, inshallah ta'ala. Let's look at the next one. Fiha, which is singular, fihi and fiha. So something feminine, fiha, and then aynun jariyatun. Aynun jariyatun. Again, I hope you can see aynun jariyatun is a indefinite murakkab tawsifi. Aynun is the word we are interested in, and it is coming after fiha, and the meaning is, in it there shall be a flowing spring. Not a specific flowing spring, a flowing spring. Meaning there could be others, but this is, in it will be a flowing spring. Fiha, then we again exactly the same thing. Sururun marfu'atun. Again, I'm sure you know the surah. So, and couches raised high, raised high. So the description of the couches is that they're raised high. Again, they're coming after. Fiha is coming first because of the rule that I mentioned earlier. Lahum azabun azimun. And you can see here, a severe punishment is a murakkab tawsifi. Murakkab tawsifi, descriptive phrase, indefinite. Therefore, it is coming after lahum. For them is a severe punishment. This is a bit more detailed than all that we've covered so far. If you write it down a couple of times and look out for them in the Qur'an, inshallah ta'ala, you'll never forget them. But that's the way the Arabic language works. It's slightly different than what we have seen in the English language. So please note these examples, and I do strongly recommend you write them down. You can buy yourself one of those whiteboards, the dry wipe type, and wipe it, wipe it. And this is the one way of learning, inshallah. You can look at it a couple of times, wipe, dry, wipe, etc. You can do that also, inshallah. So please do. This is the easiest and the quickest way to learn is through examples. Please note the simple principle. Mubtada comes first, as in example 1, and the khabar comes after. The khabar here, of course, is fil masjidi, meaning in the mosque. However, when we want to say an imam is in the mosque, as opposed to the imam is in the mosque, imam is now indefinite. So we cannot say imamun fil masjidi. We say in Arabic fil masjidi imamun. So the imamun is still our subject, even though it's coming at the end, and fil masjidi is our khabar, even though it is coming at the beginning. So again, Jar Majroor can never be the subject of a sentence. So if you remember that, inshallah, it will avoid the confusion. And of course, we label it slightly differently. We say Khabar Muqaddam and we say Mubtada Muakhar. All it means is Khabar coming first and Mubtada coming after. That's all you need to remember, inshallah ta'ala. A short video just to introduce the practical use of Huruf of Jar. I hope inshallah you found it beneficial. And the last series I went through this bit relatively quickly and people were confused and were asking me a lot of questions about it. But of course there's no point learning Huruf of Jar with an Ism Majroor if you cannot put it into context. So that is why I'm at this early stage I'm showing you that they will be in Jumlah Fi'liya, they will be in Jumlah Ismiya. In Jumlah Ismiya we have this little quirk where the indefinite subject will come after. That's the only thing you need to remember. For now, Jumlah Fi'liya, of course, they will play an important role, and in the whole sentence structure and in all the terminologies and technicalities of sentences, Huruf of Jar will play a very, very important role. And that is why if we get them early, we can inshallah ta'ala through practice learn all the different uses in more detail. But alhamdulillah, in this video and in this lesson number 9, I've shared with you the most important points about them. And of course, once we've learned verbs, we will see how they impact on verbs also. Again, Jazakumullahu khairan for watching the video and your patience. I'm trying to record them as quickly as I can with all the limitations, inshallah ta'ala. But may Allah reward you for your kind comments and your support and your du'as. If you wish to support our program, you can do so inshallah through our website. The details are there. Inshallah, we will try to continue to produce more and more content. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his forgiveness for any of my mistakes. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bless you, every one of you who is making this attempt to learn Arabic, to understand the Quran. Remember, it is not about my video. It's got nothing to do with me. Your relationship with Allah is your personal relationship. And therefore, I hope and pray what I'm doing is helping you build that relationship a little bit stronger. And of course, I'm praying for myself also. I also need to be closer and closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. So my dua for all of you, there are thousands and thousands of you, alhamdulillah, around the world watching the videos, benefiting from them. Many of you are messaging me. I'm grateful. I don't know how to thank you all except to make dua for you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with a better and better understanding of Quran and Arabic to understand Quran. And may Allah grant some of us tawfiq in whatever way, or most of us, if not, I would say all of us, to contribute to the learning and the teaching of Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Until the next video, I'll see you soon, inshallah.
الذي علم بالقلم